All right, it is officially 1 month out of the release of our initial white paper, which is crazy to say because it feels like it's been ages. But I kind of wanted to do a Is His Writing Fire thumbnail for you guys about our white paper to kind of draw some people in, I guess. Maybe this was too technical of a document to just kind of like glance at. So hopefully this video can kind of serve as like a gateway almost to our white paper. Let's just get into it. I'm going to be reviewing it on 3 categories I have. Did it generate conversations? Did the positioning evolve or stay static? And was it just a demonstration or a theory? So government agencies spend 50 million plus annually on crypto intelligence, yet receive largely forensic products with reports describing what happened long after adversaries laundered funds. The ABC from GH Systems replaces this reactive model with an operational runtime. It consumes partner telemetry and runs it through Hades, Echo, and Nemesis, and emits executable actor playbooks. And it just talks about the Bitcoin rail, compensates vendors and researchers partners the moment their intelligence compiles into validated targeting packages. And this white paper demonstrates all 3 layers. Off the bat, I mean, this sounds pretty close to what I've been, I guess, kind of marketing it as. But the real big thing about this video is that it doesn't really quite get into the AI, component of this, specifically like the federal AI component, which I've been talking about so much recently. So maybe once we get into some of the sections, I can just talk about that briefly. 3 years after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, economic warfare has fully moved on chain. Treasury, OFAC, and FBI now spend $75 million plus. Crypto, where'd the money go? FY26. I think what's weak about this section personally is that this is a very common problem and so many people have tried to solve it. I don't think GH is necessarily the solution to this problem. I feel like it's just a tool that is gonna be used for the solution. I've talked a lot about like industrializing crypto intel. I feel like that's the solution to this problem. I don't necessarily feel like my product is just automatically gonna, save the industry and really be that like predictive intelligence bridge. I mean, maybe in the future it will be, but for now, I don't think it is. Bitcoin payment layer, automatically generate bounty licensing payouts once intelligence is validated. And then I just compare the traditional forensic output, which is the TRM output, which I modeled. This is all theoretical models in Minecraft. Analyst case file, OFAC. So what this is basically going over is just the speed of our Oracle, and it's framed here as more of like a compilation instead of an oracle, which is another kind of weakness of this white paper. Compilations are great, but what we really want to build GH systems as is, an oracle, like an autonomous oracle for these intel disputes. But I mean, basic framing is still the same. I remember this page so well because it was our first real demonstration of like what the actual output could look like, and I still stand by this. I mean, yeah, I still stand by it, to be honest. We have our behavioral intelligence graph. This is just another version of the previous page, so I'm just gonna skip it. Core principles, all this stuff, I'm kind of gonna gloss over for now for time purposes, but I don't know. I mean, the key ones here, you see in the entities and relationships, we have actors, patterns, events, all defined. For people curious about this stuff, once again, all on my GitHub. So let's go more into the Bitcoin settlement layer. This is something I've kind of like backtracked on because I realize it's a potential compliance issue. But the general principle is the same, whether it's a kind of compilation or an oracle. It's the fact that an agency or our government is going to fund this escrow, and then once the intel dispute once the dispute is resolved, whoever is the vendor of that, information is going to get paid in Bitcoin. That's the ultimate goal. We could also do a version of this in the private sector where a company funds their stock, tokenized stock into an escrow, or, basically, and then once the Intel dispute is resolved, an employee or another outside vendor could receive like tokenized stock payment. I feel like that'd be a cool application of the private sector. BTC only settlement, programmable enforcement, audit ready, one-stop marketplace. This layer transforms ABC from a runtime into a complete marketplace where intelligence and compensation flow together. I mean, yeah, plain and simple. I think it does as well. Here's our validation. Many people may not know this, but this was like our Oppenheimer moment. I feel like, we started with this OFAC analysis, which you can see on the bottom half of the page. Relatively small sample size, but when you get an 100% detection, I feel like you're definitely onto something. So we have OFAC retrospective, investigation compression, risk reduction, modeled, and interagency ROI. Kind of zooming in on these little stats here, we have 100% OFAC detection, like I just said. We're drastically reducing investigation time across all sectors. And then here we have, theoretical modeling of minus 50% treasury DeFi exploits, and then minus 37% duplicated investigation across. Even I can't read what that says. I'll put it in the editing. This is where I feel like this page 8 is where I feel like we've grown the most, because this talks a lot about licensing and, obviously our integration and commercial models. I don't really necessarily feel like this is the path forward for us now, because as much as I love the idea of licensing, I feel like in theory, we want to make this more of an infrastructure tool rather than like kind of a subscription-based white label tool. I think the revenue share is definitely a viable option. What I have under strategic partnerships: enable joint bids, contracts combining forensics and predictive targeting. Vendors keep customer relationships and deliver the behavioral layer their clients already demand. I think that's a really important factor in this. I talked a lot about like the upsell, right? Because if this landscape is so fragmented, a potential positive of like ending the fragmentation is that you realistically could upsell, like as a research firm, you could use GH to make your system more forensic, or as a forensics firm, you could make your reports more research based, and that would just dramatically increase the like Intel bounty. And in a world where we believe Bitcoin is like the sound money of this system, and for these crypto native investigators or researchers, I feel like it's just an obvious fit. Scenario C here is a big one because we have like allied coordination. I took this a step further by adding like cryptographic proof. I've talked about this so much, but after the Intel is resolved, there's going to be a there is a cryptographic proof label which enables interagency collaboration on chain. The vendor is theoretically contributing their Intel on chain in exchange for Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency, and then that Intel is cryptographically there for anyone to collaborate with. That could be other government agencies or other researchers, and it just builds like this network which really doesn't exist in the industry. Implementation architecture. This is pretty outdated here. Deployment models. I talked about cloud models. We have AWS GovCloud or Azure Government. Full ABC runtime with managed Bitcoin node. GH system operates. Agencies consume. Deploy in 2 to 4 weeks. Ideal for teams. on-premises, air-gap customer environments. I mean, yeah, these are all possible. APIs, security, zero knowledge attestations. You know, these are all possible, but let's just move on to the conclusion. This roadmap, I feel like, is already outdated, but mission alignment continues. Defend the integrity of open finance through verifiable intelligence and Bitcoin settled accountability. That's pretty much it, folks. You can't really get much clearer than that, in my opinion. The adversarial behavioral compiler, adversarial behavioral oracle, replaces reactive forensic workflows with predictive targeting intelligence delivered in hours and paid instantly in Bitcoin. By wiring Hades, Echo, Nemesis, and the BTC settlement layer into a single behavioral intelligence graph, which we have done, and I haven't changed any of that stuff. GH Systems provides agencies and vendors with the marketplace they need to win economic conflicts on chain. The tooling exists today and the integrations are underway. The next step is partnerships. Last page is just appendix. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. That is our white paper. I hope you enjoyed kind of going through it with me. This was definitely an eye-opening experience for V2, dropping sometime in December before my camera falls. See you guys.